Anthony Weaver pulled his Citroen to a halt on the wide gravel drive of his home in Adams Road. He stared through the windscreen at the winter jasmine that grew, neat and restrained, on the trellis to the left of the front door. For the last 8 hours he'd been living in the region that lies just between a nightmare and hell, and now he was numb. It was shock, his intellect told him. Certainly he'd begin feeling something again just as soon as this period of disbelief had passed. He made no move to get out of the car. Instead, he waited for his former wife to speak. But stolidly sitting next to him in the passenger seat, Glyn Weaver maintained the silence with which she had greeted him at the Cambridge railway station. She hadn't allowed him to drive to London to fetch her, to carry her suitcase, or to open a door. Nor had she allowed him to witness her grief. He understood. He'd already accepted the blame for their daughter's death. He'd taken on that responsibility the moment he'd identified Elena's body. Glyn had no need to hurl accusations at him. He would have agreed with every one. He saw her eyes sweep over the front of the house, and he wondered if she would remark upon it. She hadn't been to Cambridge since helping Elena get settled into St. Stephen's in her first term, and even then she'd not set foot in Adams Road. She would, he knew, see the house as indication of the combined elements of remarriage, inheritance, and professional egocentricity, a veritable showpiece of his success. Brick, 3 stories, white woodwork, decorative tile cladding from second story to roofline, a glass-enclosed morning room with a roof terrace atop it. This was a far cry from their claustrophobic, newlywed digs, 3 rooms on Hope Street, more than 20 years ago. This house was set alone at the end of a curved drive, not butted up to a neighbour's dwelling and squatting less than 5 feet from the street. This was the house of a tenured professor, a respected member of the history faculty. This was no ill-lit tenement of dying dreams. To the right of the house, a copper beech hedge, brilliant with the sunset colours of autumn, walled off the back garden. Through an opening in the bushes, an Irish setter bounded joyfully towards the car. Seeing the animal, Glyn spoke for the first time, her voice low, without apparent emotion. "This is her dog?" "Yes." "We couldn't keep one in London. The flat was too small. She always wanted a dog. She talked about a spaniel. Breaking off, Glyn got out of the car. The dog took 2 hesitant steps forward, tongue hanging out in a slapdash canine grin. Glyn observed the animal but made no overt attempt to greet him. He took another 2 steps and snuffled round her feet. With a rapid blink, she looked back at the house. She said, "Justine's made you a lovely place in the world, Anthony." Between brick pilasters, the front door opened, its polished oak panels catching what little of the quickly fading afternoon light managed to seep through the fog. Anthony's wife, Justine, stood with one hand on the doorknob. She said, "Glyn, come in, please. I've made tea." After which she backed once again into the house, wisely offering no condolences where they would not be welcome. Anthony followed Glyn into the house, carrying her suitcase up to the guest room, and returning to find her and Justine standing in the sitting room, Glyn at the window overlooking the front lawn with its careful arrangement of white wrought-iron furniture glistening through the fog, and Justine by the sofa with the tips of her fingers pressed together in front of her. His first and second wives could not have been more dissimilar. Glyn, at 46, was making no attempt to resist the encroachments of middle age. Her face was worn, with crow's feet at her eyes, deep lines like trenches from nose to chin, tiny indentations shooting out from her lips, jawline losing definition from the pull of flesh beginning to sag. Grey streaked her hair, which she wore long, drawn back from her face in a severe chignon. Her body was thickening at the waist and hips, and she covered it with tweed and wool and flesh-coloured stockings and flat walking shoes. In contrast, Justine, at 35, still managed to suggest the fresh bloom of youth. Blessed with a sort of facial structure that would only enhance her looks as she grew older, she was attractive without being beautiful, with smooth skin, blue eyes, knife-edged cheekbones, a firm jaw. She was tall and lanky, with a cascade of dusty blonde hair that hung, as it had from adolescence, loosely round her shoulders. Trim and fit, she wore the same clothes now in which she had gone off to work this morning, a tailored grey suit with a wide black belt, grey stockings, black pumps, a silver pin on her lapel. She was perfect, as always.